GM. GM. So, Apu for Trade of the Day. Is Apu making his first appearance on Trade of the Day? It's the Wednesday 10th of April. So, looking at this here so far, obviously it's moving well. Put the bands on and it's holding them nicely, as you can see here. It's a nice 4 hour uptrend. Typically, the way I trade low caps, which includes memes, which is really any low caps in general, especially on-chain stuff that doesn't have perps, so there's nobody shorting it, it tends to have quite clean price action. Support resistance is the best, so don't discount SR. There's the previous all-time high close. This is the biggest, strongest support resistance that we have on the chart, because it was the double top here, then we flipped it, held it, lots of heavy selling into that as level as well, and it held, and away we go. So that's one really strong level. You also have this next move. I don't really need that trend line. You also have this next move where it came up to about 18, sold off, came again, broke through. That hasn't been retested, right? We kind of just broke straight through it. 1 4 hour candle retested it, but it hasn't had a proper retest. So that 18 level will be one I'm looking at. And then you've got 100 mil market cap, round number, which is very, very important for meme coins. Right, you've got the 50 mil, 100 mil, 2, 5, and then a billion. And of course, along the way, you've got 300 mil, 400 mil, 500 mil. Like, these are some of the key levels to watch. And if you're looking at that 100 mil market cap, the next one, of course, would be 200 mil, which is obviously double of that. So it's going to be around 60. It's just slightly below 60, I believe. As a potential area to watch. And there's a couple of paths that I've drawn here. So the first one, the blue path, is just a straight copy of WIF, of the WIF path, which is not obviously going to happen, but it's as a comparison of how this can go higher but be choppy in between and trick people into selling. So that's really if it's going to go a lot higher with no typical kind of blow off top pullback, which is what this would be. So the more typical path I would expect would be, this is leg 1, leg 2, we're in leg 3, then you blow off top, you can place the bounce, you come all the way back down 80%, 90%, and then you go again higher later on. That's the path I would like to see, because that's the easiest to trade, and I will absolutely take profit on Apu. I have no problem taking profit on a bag if I see the setup for it. I think this can go to $1 billion. I think the meme itself is huge. I think the bull market memes are the big play. I think if Pepe goes higher, so will Apu. But none of that has anything to do with how it can move on low time frames, right? Joe Biden went down 80%. The Trump meme went down 80%. Pepe went down 90%. All WIF went down, right? Every coin, every meme coin goes down, and they tend to go down a lot, even if they're a great meme that's going to go super, super high. It's just at a certain point, people start taking profit, and there's not enough demand. It's really simple. So as long as it's got momentum, we're all good. We'll see from here where it goes, but since this breakout, that's when I consider the trend to have begun. So the first leg up into that trend. This was all part of a consolidation. You literally had a 98% drawdown and then a 73. So this was more like a consolidation. This was your first run up, obviously. That was your first actual trend. And if you zoom in and look at this move, you can see quite clearly the same thing, right? So from the first breakout over here, you had your first leg up, your second leg up, your third leg up, a complacency bounce, down 90%. Boom. Nice and easy, right? If only they were all that easy. But that really is right side of the V. That's where you want to sell. You don't want to sell here. And understanding that if and when that parabolic slope breaks, it's going to go down a lot. It went down 98%. Now, the dev rugged over here, I think, so, or wherever he rugged. And then the community took it over, which is super bullish because now dev's gone, communities took it over, nobody left to rug, and it shows the strength of the meme itself. Now, that's if you have a parabolic kind of real parabolic sloping uptrend. I'll talk about Bowden in a second because Bowden has been doing that too. If parabolic slopes like that break, they will go down 60, 70, 80%. They just will. So if you're looking at it, then you have to use the scaling of different time frames. So on a daily chart, it's obviously in a strong uptrend, right? Get me a curve path to view this. You can see. I guess the curve is not. Let's draw it roughly. So you can see how it's still trending upwards, curving and accelerating away, right? At some point, obviously, that will break. But I don't think it's super close to breaking yet. This whole consolidation was heavy selling. It was heavy buying, obviously, as well, but there's heavy selling in here. A lot of people wanted to dump, like to try and sell at 100 mil market cap, and a lot of people sold under it. You can literally see every time it was under 100 mil market cap, people were selling and selling and selling, and so they've been left behind, right? When you sell and you panic sell, you get left behind. So there needs to be some real clear sign of weakness for me to actually look at exiting. Like there needs to be, first of all, it needs to go basically straight up, and then you need to see some kind of weakness and some kind of failed retest. The ideal is to sell there, not that price. I'm saying that price action. Ideally, you get a strong sell-off and then a complacency bounce, and it tends to happen quite fast, right? You had this sell-off and then it consolidated and it moved up. That's bullish, right? That's more like just a correction before the next leg. So we'll see. Keep an eye on it. Bowden as well. So Bowden, I had a bunch of paths drawn out from before. So get rid of those. Well, actually, this one's been playing out pretty well, moving up. Yeah, I mean it's all right. The main thing with these trends is you see some kind of exhaustion and some kind of parabolic last push, and typically the last push is accompanied by some kind of hype. So for Bowden, that would be like a news thing, getting on the news, being in the news. For Apu, that would be like reaching crypto Twitter, which is not really in yet. So, you know. So your 500 mil market cap for Bowden is obviously a big one. And then $1 billion. So $1 billion is obviously going to be about 150, roughly. Slightly under. So Bowden to $1 billion. That's the big one. And currently, again, holding up nicely. No signs of this trend ending just yet, in my opinion. It seems to be building a base here. People are obsessed with selling $1 for whatever reason. So you got this old SR, but you've also got $1 round number, which people seem to love selling for whatever reason. Which is a great place to buy if you're bullish. Now obviously I'm already in from like 12 cents. I'm not buying it at $1, but once sold off in here, second touched the dollar, sold off, and I think you know who's selling to you at that point, right? You know who's selling to you at that point, so that's why it's a good time to buy. You're not like, nobody's selling to you because no one's selling to you at that point because they're like hyper bearish on both. They're just like, oh, round number, I'm going to sell because I think other people will sell. So I don't see that as being bearish. It's basically selling off from $1 back to 500 mil and holding. That's quite good. I like that. Now, Is it going to go higher, or is that the current end? Hard to say. Bowden hasn't had its first sustained drawdown yet, right? It's had dips here in between, which are 70%, but they're only like 4 days, right? It had a dip over here, 50%, but again, short. And then we had a fast dip, down 40%, but short. At some point, Bowden will go into a more lengthy correction, and I think that's from higher. Could be wrong, but it'll eventually go like and have, you know, a lengthy period of time, which makes people capitulate through boredom. And it's just a matter of how high can it go before then, right? So both Bowden and Apu are looking pretty good. They're the two best performing meme coins probably of the past couple of weeks, or two of the best. There's always something that's done better, but two of them are doing good. We'll keep an eye on them. I'd say Apu is stronger than Bowden right now, but Bowden's had a bigger run in more recent days, so yeah, see what happens. That's it. GM.